What if the secret to real estate success isn't in the market, but in your mindset? Today's guest has coached thousands of agents to break through growth, and he's sharing the strategies that actually move the needle. If you've ever felt stuck, overwhelmed, or like you're spinning your wheels, this episode is for you. Welcome back to At Home with Tracy Mullin. I'm your host, Tracy, realtor and wannabe designer, and always curious about what truly sets top agents apart. And today's guest knows exactly that. Dana Richard is the head business coach at Richard Robbins International, one of North America's top real estate coaching companies. He's coached thousands of agents and broker owners over his 30-year career. And his superpower? Helping people simplify their business, amplify their results, and build success on their terms. Dana Richard, welcome to my show.
Thanks, Tracy. Appreciate it. I'm honored to be here. It was such a nice request.
Yeah. Well, just so people that are listening know, you are my real estate coach. You're the reason that I have been so successful in real estate. And not only that, I'm your number one client, right?
You're my first client.
First client
and
ever.
Number one.
And number one.
Yeah.
So very first client in your coaching company was me. It was amazing. So Dana, tell us first of all, what is coaching?
You know what? A lot of people wonder what is coaching and what's it all about. And in real estate, the way I look at it is think of real estate as being like 1,000 steps of going from being a beginner agent all the way up to a successful team or a successful agent. Think of it, there's like 1,000 little steps, and you got to think, where am I at? So you may be at step 345, right? And it's like, okay, well, how do I get to the next step? We've coached so many people, we probably know the next step. You'll probably get to the next step or the next 20 steps, but we help get there faster because we've had so much experience with other agents. And we know what sort of is the right path to get you there quicker and more efficiently.
Well, from past experience, I don't know if you remember this, but my very first year in real estate, it was a lot of tears, a lot of frustration, a lot of crying, because I honestly didn't know what I was doing. I was doing what I thought were the right steps, but I didn't have any systems, and my mindset was not great. So let's just talk about mindset. First of all, how do you coach people? Everybody has different personalities. How do you coach these different personalities?
So one thing that I believe in is that everyone is great. Everyone has the ability of doing something astronomical. And so what happens is you want to tap into that, their genius. We call it their genius. We want to tap into their genius. There's many ways of doing business. And what we want to do is find out what they're really, really good at and then make sure that they can excel in it. One philosophy we have is you can do 20 transactions in any kind of real estate resource. So whether you're cold calling, door knocking, doing networking, whatever, we know that you can do 20 transactions in each one of those revenue sources. So what we want to find out is what do you have a propensity for? And we'll work on that, make you better at it, and through strategies and tactics, and as a result, you'll be working in your sweet spot. And when you're working in your sweet spot, it's easier. It's more fun. It just comes naturally.
It's like there's this vibration when you're in your sweet spot that you're really vibrating at this high level. But let's just go back to that for 1 second. You said something really important. You said your premise is everyone is great.
Right.
So they have something in them that allows them to be great.
Absolutely. So think of it this way. Think of for your audience, for example, you probably enjoy something, whether it's golfing, whether it's you just have a natural knack. Mm-hmm. Well, if you do, I believe it can be translated into real estate. You can take that that passion of whatever you have, and you can translate it into real estate, into the right way of doing business. And then as a result, it'll be the same passion you have for your hobby or whatever it is that you have a passion for. I believe everyone has a passion for something.
Right. And do you think that everyone is coachable?
Great question. I was thinking about that over the weekend. Is everyone coachable? And the answer is yes, they're coachable, but there's some people that just won't open their minds up to be coached. They're looking for that magic bullet, right? When they're looking for the magic bullet, it's always they're taking. You want to take. But if you're somebody who says, I want to be a better person, I want to learn more, I want to do great things, and they know that if it's up to me, it'll happen. And if they have that attitude, they're coachable. If they think, just give me the answer, it's not going to work.
Right. So let's talk about, first of all, like in real estate, what is the most prevalent reason that people are blocked?
I think what happens is they know what they know, and that takes them to a certain level. Remember I said they're at level 342. Well, then what's the next level? And so to level up, they don't know what they need to do, so they just keep doing the same thing and hoping for different results. So they have they have some kind of a wall, whether they are missing a skill, whether they're missing a certain motivation and mindset, whether they have the proper time management to get everything done in a day. So all of these things together causes them to have a blockage and then get overwhelmed.
Right. And overwhelmed and stuck. There's nothing worse. And I don't know how many times you coached me when I was in overwhelmed and stuck, but most of my career, I'd be in overwhelmed and stuck. When we look at people in real estate, they have this block. Do you have a magic bullet for getting them unblocked? How do you get people motivated? Because to me, coaching is about inspiring, motivated, but is that internal or external for people in most cases?
Well, a lot of times you'd be surprised how often people get motivated just from having a coach because they have a sounding block, right? So they push through whatever's blocking them or frustrating them. So having a coach will help them get through that. So it is really important when you are blocked, you think, I don't know what to do. There's probably ways of getting through that, and you'd be surprised at how simple it is. Sometimes it's a simple tactic to get you moving forward. I got this great example from my fitness coach, okay? And if you've ever, when you were working out, I know you're a big fitness person. Have you ever thought, like, I don't want to work out. I don't feel like it today. Or I don't feel like it for the last couple of weeks. Well, what happens is, and he said this to me, and it made all the sense in the world, and you can translate it into coaching, is if you're stuck, what you want to do is think about what is it that you like to do. So in fitness, you have a favorite exercise.
I like Pilates.
Okay, so you like Pilates.
Yes.
I like chest exercises. So if it was Pilates, he would say, I want you to do Pilates, but I want you to make it easy so that you have a success at the end of it. So what you want to do is take the easy and get a success, get a win, and you say, I feel pretty good. And then the next day you do it again. I feel pretty good. And then all of a sudden you will get more difficult. You will do more. Too often in real estate, what we think is we're frustrated. I gotta do the hard stuff. I don't know how to, cold call, but I'm going to cold call because I think that works. And that just gets them into a deeper spot, right? Instead, pick what you like and do it and make sure there's a little success at the end of the day.
Right.
Tomorrow you'll come back and you'll say, hey, you know what? I'm getting out of this rut. It's feeling better. And then you'll try new stuff. You'll try more stuff. So make it simple, make it easy, get a success.
I don't know if you remember this about me, but I had two young kids. They were 9 and 10 when I started in real estate. I was a single mom. And I remember we talked about this. I hated cold calling. Like, who wants a realtor to call them on the phone? No, it felt like nobody. But what I had underneath my phone was my reason why I needed to cold call. So I pulled the sheet of paper out and said, I need to feed my kids today. And you told me you need to have a why. And so when I pulled this out, it made me call. And I never put never put the phone down, because at the end of the day, when I started in real estate, they gave us a big yellow phone book, and they gave me a phone, and I didn't even know what I was doing. I didn't even know I was running a business.
Yeah.
It's one of the things we don't know as realtors is, like, when you said there's 1,000 steps to being in real estate, people probably think, oh, it's not that hard to be a realtor. Oh my God, we are running a business. So I hope I'm not the only person that came into coaching not understanding that I was actually running a business.
No, but at the same time, you know how you mentioned the why? Too often, we don't know our why. We just wake up every day and say, I got to go to work. And we really don't know why we're doing it, what we're doing. We don't have a purpose. It almost becomes a rat race. And then again, we get overwhelmed, right, and frustrated. So when you work out your why, well, like, why are you really doing this? Then it'll be so much more enjoyable, and it'll make the hard easy.
I agree. I think when you're depressed or when you're tired, when you're down, I think a lot of that is because you don't have a why. And so for me, my why now is my grandchildren, right? That's my big why, is I want to have a great life and I want to be around for them for the longest time ever. And that makes a difference for me now. I have a new why. It's no longer I'm a single mom looking after these children. Now I have grandchildren. And so do you think it's easy for people to find their why?
Actually, I always say it takes a couple of years to find your why. It's not as easy as you think. You know, a lot of people, when they first say, what's your why? And you say, oh, I want to make $1 million. If it's a sort of an event, I make $1 million and it's money, very seldom will you be satisfied. Your why has to be bigger. It's a bigger purpose. Like, I need to feed my kids. I want to put my kids through university. I want to have the best for my grandkids. So you want to think about the why, and a lot of times it's in service to others, not for yourself.
Yeah. Well, as my children were growing, my oldest daughter's a doctor.
Wow.
So imagine being a single mom and you're putting your kid through university and she decides she wants to be a doctor. So now there's the whole cost after that, which I wasn't really expecting. But that's just part of life. And I wonder how easy it is for people to find their big why. Do you have a book that you could recommend to people for finding their big why?
Well, you caught me off guard. We have libraries of why. We do have books, and we can put it on the website.
I think it's Start With Why, isn't it?
There is one that says Start With Why.
Is that Simon Sinek or no?
Yes.
Okay, because
yes.
I remember that was one of Rich's favorite books for sure. So with respect to getting agents up and running, what kind of systems are people missing in real estate in particular? Let's just talk about new agents first.
Okay, new agents. So first thing you want to do is find out their baseline always in coaching. So just step back for a second. Coaching is we coach to the problem, train to the solution. Okay, so that's how you have to think about it. We want to find out where their challenges are. So what we want to do is create a baseline. History leaves clues. So one thing is your business plan. Where were you? How many deals did you do? Right? And where do you want to go? So it's almost like a path. I'm at 5 deals. I want to go to 10 deals. Okay. So there's a path to that. That's one thing. The other thing is in that there's time management. So you got to make sure you're dedicating enough time because we are an entrepreneurial company, right? Being a real estate agent, you want to make sure you've dedicated enough time to be able to get to that next level. So there's a real whole time management I believe is the key issue of a system of making sure your week is productive. So you want to make sure you master that. You want to make sure that every week you're practicing your skill level, right? So that's part of your weekly to-do list. But also you should have a buyer presentation system and a listing system. So those are the two that are key.
I don't know if you remember way back then, but one thing I started doing was open houses.
Yeah.
And I did 4 every weekend because I did 11 o'clock and then 2 o'clock, and I couldn't get anything together. And part of it was you taught me, well, you don't have a system. You don't have a follow-up system. You don't have a system when you're actually at your open house. And from there, I did like 17 deals in a very, very short period of time, all from creating a system in open houses.
Right. You know what? Everything, I think of a lot of real estate like McDonald's. If you ask an agent, have you ever had a deal that went perfect? And they go, oh, yeah, I remember that deal. And I said, well, replicate it. Right? That's your system. And it's like, oh, you did follow up at the right time. You called, you said the right words. You showed property at the right time. Like history leaves clues. And so that could be a good system. You want to be consistent and deliberate in your action. So I can't stress that enough. You already probably have a system, but you aren't consistent in following it. But you're right. There are things like follow-up. There's follow-up systems. How often do I follow up? Is it once a week, once a day, once a month, right?
Well, what did you tell us in our team meeting today? Like if you weren't busy, you'd take that lead and you'd text them or call them or reach out to them every day. But when we get busy, we forget about those, leads, right?
One of the things in real estate that agents, I believe, drop the ball in this market. This is an agent-driven market currently we're in. When it was COVID, it was a client-driven market where they had to buy a house today, right? And it was fast-moving. That was a client-driven market. Right now, we're in an agent-driven market, and so we need to be proactive reaching out, and we don't reach out enough. We don't follow up enough in this market. That's one of the downfalls. And one of the biggest complaints with clients is I don't hear from my realtor enough.
Right. I was just going to ask you, what do you think the consumer is looking for when they're looking for an agent?
Well, they want somebody that's communicating with them lots, because a lot of times you'll get challenges where they don't communicate, because in a fast-paced market, you don't need to communicate, right? You list their house and 2 days later it's sold, and then everyone moves on to the next deal. But now your buyers and sellers are taking longer to transact. You need to be communicating with them a lot more. I always say to my members this: how often do you think the client is looking at real estate?
Oh, I say they're junkies. When they start to look, they're on it.
Every day.
Every day they are on it.
So if they're looking at real estate every day, why aren't we communicating with them every day? Because in fact, we always think as agents, I don't want to bother them. Well, they're looking at real estate every day, and if you're not communicating with them every day, they're thinking, where's my agent?
Right.
Have they forgotten about me?
Well, even when there's a showing, I'm telling people I've reached out to the agent, I haven't heard back yet. I'm being proactive in that communication, because I don't want the client to call me first to say, hey, what happened with the showing yesterday? Right. I want them to know I'm on it, but I haven't heard back yet.
Right. Yeah. That's a great point. All great agents are proactive as opposed to being reactive, right? So that's a good point.
Right. And if we talk about new agents, I remember I had 7 role-playing partners how to do a listing presentation. And now you need to know how to do a buyer consult.
Yeah.
And people practicing those things will help them with when they do get the leads, it'll help them with that. People think real estate is so easy.
Right.
Wow. This is not an easy business.
It is a tough business, because a single agent, for example, they have to do so many facets of their entrepreneurial business, like sales, marketing, admin, right? Accounting, follow-up, right?
Well, let's talk about the biggest reason why agents fail. Follow-up 101 is the reason why most agents don't do well. And the agents that are the top agents, it's because they have a follow-up system.
Right. Oh, and there's 2 parts to an agent's job. One is the activity, follow-up, and the other one is the skill level.
Service.
And so in that skill level and service, so if you follow up and you say, okay, I'm putting in the time to follow up, that's good, but it's how you follow up. Right? Are you sending them a quick video? Are you sending them a text? Are you giving them information? Right? Are you educating the client? Are you asking for a call to action for them to do something? So it's more than just checking in. You want to actually move the client forward. And so that's really important. So there's 2 parts to it. One is a skill level, making sure that if you're doing the activity, am I doing it well? Right. And there's a lot of growth required in that area.
Right. And one of the biggest, I think, fall downs is we don't communicate the way the client wants to be communicated with. If you're younger, you just want to communicate by text because that's easiest. I always ask people when I'm at the table with them, how do you want me to communicate with you? By email, by phone call, by text? I remember one time one of my agents got fired because he sent them a text message to tell them that they lost the offer that night. Well, how do you think this is my most important thing I'm doing in my life right now? And you text me to tell me that I didn't win in multiple offers?
Right. It is so key that we do communicate properly. I think of it more as an engagement. Mm-hmm. So too often we might say text or email, and it's like a one-liner, and then we move on. You want to have a conversation. If they prefer texting, you want to have a conversation through text. It's not just like FYI, giving them something, you lost the offer. If they won't talk to you on the phone or don't want to, you want to make sure you're engaging them. So think of the word engage.
Right. Right now, we talked a bit about the market. Right now, the market is down in Canada,
Yes.
down in the Toronto, the GTA area, and things are taking longer to move. What strategies do agents need to have right now in this kind of market?
Great question. Great question. In this market, I talked a little bit about COVID. COVID was almost, I'm not going to say an order-taking market, but the client knew what they wanted, and they had to buy, otherwise they'd lose a house. It was very active, right? A very active market. So they were willing to accept 5 out of 10 of their sort of must-haves because they just wanted to move on to the next part of their journey in life. Nowadays, the market's slowed down a bit, so now they want 10 out of 10 features and at a great price. So they need to be educated, right, properly to say, okay, this is what you're going to get for your money, right? And maybe 10 out of 10 features is unreasonable in your budget. So we really have to work at educating the client to understand how to buy and sell a house in this market. So I think that is key. And that's what's holding back a lot of agents. They're not used to educating a client because the market before, and most agents have only been in the market for 4 or 5 years, so they only knew good times. So now it's a little tougher and tighter. They need to work on educating the client, both buyers and sellers. Because if you think about it, when a home's sold, most homes are sold for relatively close to fair market value. Mm-hmm. And so if that's the case, then they need to really communicate and lead the client through saying, you're going to buy a house or sell your house for fair market value, and this is how we're going to do it. So we really have to lead the client through the process.
Right. Well, let's talk about right now. The buyers right now
Yeah.
are waiting for the market to crash. I want to know if I'm a seasoned agent and I don't know if the market is at the bottom. How do the buyers know that the market is at the bottom, or do they?
Yeah, that's a great question. And you know, we've been talking about this actually in the last couple of months with all of our members because buyers are waiting for it to go down, sellers are waiting for it to go up in the spring market. So I guess somebody's going to be right, mm-hmm. right? It's either going to go up or go down, but we really want to get away from that mental attitude. You want to get away from, I want to buy it when the market's low or I want to sell it when the market's high. Instead, we need as agents to focus on their why. People don't wake up in the morning and say, you know what? I'm going to sell my house and make $100,000. They don't do that.
No.
They say, you know what? I think I want to move closer to my granddaughter. Mm-hmm. So that's their why, is moving closer to their granddaughter. Now, obviously, when they make the decision, they want to make as much money as possible, but we want to move closer to our granddaughter, but we want to make as much money. What happens, I think, where an agent falls short is they end up thinking, I know exactly what you want to do. You want to move closer to your granddaughter. Okay, so let's get your home sold. If we don't remind everybody of their why on every conversation, every time I talk to you, I'd say, hey, Tracy, how you making it? I bet you can't wait to move closer to your granddaughter.
Yeah.
Right?
Get them excited about it.
And then you get excited about it, right? Because when an offer comes in, you'll sell it for fair market value, right? So that you can get on with your life, the next part of the journey in your life. Too often as agents, we say, I know why you're moving, and we never bring it up again, then everybody defaults to price. Mm. And they always want a little more, and then they don't, we're not selling. And it's like, I thought you wanted to move closer to your granddaughter. But if we don't bring it up and remind them and excite them about their next journey in life, everyone will default to price.
Right.
That is the challenge. So we got to, number one rule, always remind them and yourself of why they're moving, and it'll go much smoother.
Well, the one thing that we talked about earlier was having a big why. And mm-hmm. now what you're saying is that the client also needs to have a big why. Like, why are they moving? Why are they motivated? And if they don't, we used to say no where, no when, no why. It's time to say goodbye.
Exactly.
If they don't have a why as well.
Exactly.
Sometimes they don't know where they want to move to, and they don't know when they want to be moved by.
Right.
But why do you want to move?
Yeah, and that's so important. Why do you want to move? And if it's just like I'm testing the market, this might not be a good market to test.
Definitely not.
If it's I'm moving because I want to be close to my granddaughter, oh, that's awesome. Do you want to be there before Christmas and enjoy Christmas? Great. Well, then we need to do this, this, and this. Follow the plan, and then it'll happen. So that's the key there. Always focus on their why and revisit it.
Right. So how can you help a top producer, let's say, somebody that's already doing well in real estate? How do you help them?
Okay, well, think about it. Remember how I said there was 1,000 steps? They might be at 895. So think of it, with being a successful real estate agent with a team, a small team, a big team, there's always challenges. It could be leadership challenges, right? Coordinating admin staff. Do they have enough people to help out with the team? Training their agents. So trust me, your challenges don't go away.
There's always a new one.
There's always a new challenge, and that's what we try and do. Is we help them get from 895 to 896. So in our system, we've coached people who've done like 2 or 3 deals a year, all the way to a single agent that's done 600 deals, right? So, and a team of 1 all the way up to a team of 25. So there's lots that we have learned as a coaching company that we'll be able to help out most people coming into our real estate fold.
Right. Well, we have a big event this week.
Yeah.
This is the Richard Robbins week that we love so much. And I've probably been to, I don't even know, 15 or 20 events in my real estate career. When we talk now about marketing and people being in front of people and people either door knocking or cold calling or doing open houses, like, what's people's biggest fear? Like, why won't they just go and do it? If they know it's going to make a difference, why won't they just go do it?
Well, fear is a pretty powerful thing, Tracy. And so, like I was sort of mentioning before, I believe everyone has a genius. Everyone has a sweet spot. And there's probably something that you will enjoy doing that can create business. So there's about 16 revenue sources: cold calling, strategic alliances, open houses. You were mentioning open houses, talking to your past clients, sphere of influence. So there's 16 different ways of generating business. Out of those, you probably have a propensity for 1 or 2 of those. Well, think of it. If you have a propensity for 1 or 2, then you'll probably be more likely to do it and complete the system.
And enjoy it.
If it's something like, you're saying, oh, well, why don't they just go cold call or door knock? Well, if you're not good at it and you literally don't like it, the clients can see that. The leads can see that. And so they will tend not to phone you back or deal with you. But if you're passionate about what you're doing, they say, I want what that person has. I want to be closer to that person. So you will be more likely to be more successful in something that you enjoy. And remember, like I said at the beginning, every revenue source, you can do 20 transactions. So, think of it, if you have 1 or 2 revenue sources that you enjoy doing, that's like 40 transactions. That's a great life, right?
Spend your time over there doing what you like.
Exactly. And what can happen sometimes is we see people like at the event saying they're door knocking and they're very successful at it, doing 20 transactions a year. And you say, well, I'm not doing very well this year. Maybe I should do it. You want to always look back into yourself and say, okay, is that my passion? Is that my genius? Am I good at that? Could I be good at that? And be careful of going down the rabbit hole, and you might just get yourself more frustrated.
Right. Well, my daughter Kayla, who was in our team meeting this morning, my daughter Kayla's been in real estate for 10 years now, was reminding us that when she went to the conference 10 years ago, she heard Kate Miller on stage talking about her business networking or BNI group, and Kayla decided, oh, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
And do you know that that's Kayla's genius is relationships,
right on,
and referrals, and not just about what she gets, but how does she give to other people. That's her sweet spot.
Right.
So BNI has been this huge growth for her, not only in her leadership because she's been on all the leadership teams, but in terms of her business. This is where she's getting all of her business from.
Right. So as you master something like that, you should be able to translate it into another revenue source. Right. So she's into networking. So, BNI is a networking kind of a situation. So think what other things are in networking. It might be mom's group, community, school groups, right? And so as a result, you're on committees and things like that. So you can see how whatever you enjoy, there's a lot of other revenue sources where you could just do a lateral shift and start bringing that on. You don't want to bring too much on at once as a new agent. You want to sort of master a couple and then grow from there.
Well, think about Kayla, why she didn't enjoy door knocking, didn't enjoy cold calling, didn't enjoy open houses, because it wasn't one-on-one.
Right.
And so that's her sweet spot. So she should stay in that sweet spot,
Absolutely.
which is what we're learning.
Absolutely.
Right?
And one thing you want to do, and this is what we help in coaching, is you're doing BNI, your networking groups, then you want to think and challenge yourself, okay, how can I make it better? And great agents, they're always looking at, okay, I'm doing the activity, how can I make it better? Maybe I could offer something different to my BNI group. Maybe I could do something different with my BNI group. That would create a bigger difference. And so what you'd be surprised at how much more growth can happen if you really analyze what you're currently doing.
Right. Well, she's also really good at it. So the people in her group want to support her.
Right.
They come to our events. She goes to their events. They give away raffle prizes. She gives raffle prizes. So there's this real reciprocal relationship. But that's
awesome.
also what can happen after 25 years in business. I have a lot of clients.
Yeah.
So when you're good at something, just keep doing it, is what you're saying.
Keep doing it, and then always challenge yourself, can I do something a little better?
How do I make this, if it's a 9, how do I make it a 10?
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Right. So Dana, what's the difference between an agent that's struggling and a top producer?
I think a top producer, what happens is they're leading the client through the process. They had an initial meeting. They educated them on what's going to happen. They educated the client on what's going to happen and how it's going to work. And as they're showing property or whatever, if it's a listing and they have a listing, they're leading the client through the process. Whereas a weaker agent, the client tends to lead them. And what happens is they're sort of calling the shots. And traditionally, the client doesn't know all the ins and outs with real estate. They may think they do, but there's a lot of moving parts. And so as a result, they fall short on being able to close a client or moving them to the right location or asking the right questions. Whereas a top agent will lead a client through the process, ask the right questions, and that's really what makes them, I think, be successful. The other thing that happens, I think, is a top agent will use technology to assist in sales, whereas a weaker agent uses technology to get sales. So they think, okay, well, if I have technology, I don't have to do anything. But it is a relationship business where you actually got to communicate with the client and you got to do a great job at it. And a great agent knows how to do that, and they know how to make the client feel good. Right.
So what I'm also hearing you say is that the great agent has the skills to pivot, transition based on the need of the client.
Exactly.
Where if I'm a new agent, I don't necessarily have all those skills. So working on your skills is really important.
Well, absolutely. And that's the thing, like that's the other part of it is the experienced agent or a high producing agent, they know what to say, when to say it, and how to say it. And a newer agent or a struggling agent will be all out of things to say or do or know what the next step is, and that we become in a stall mode. And so as a result, we don't know how to move the client forward, and they get into a rut, and then it just spirals down. Right. Yeah.
Okay. So a couple of questions.
Okay.
Okay. If you could give one piece of advice to an agent who's feeling stuck or discouraged, what would it be?
If you were stuck, there's a couple of things that I think that you'd want to do. One is look at where your successes were. So review the year. You did a couple of deals, whatever that may be. Where'd they come from? There's more deals to be had in that area. So keep that in mind. If you're stuck, I would say review anybody that put up their hand in real estate. Because think of it this way. Life is busy. Who has time for fun to say, oh, I just want to go out on a Sunday to an open house? right? I got nothing going on. So they pull on in Canada and it's winter. You got to put on all your warm clothes, heat up the car for 20 minutes and go to an open house. And then you say, oh, no, I'm just looking. I'm just having fun. Like, that's probably the furthest thing from the truth.
You're saying that's bullshit.
Exactly. So what happens is that if you see people and they're talking real estate, you're in front of a real estate situation like a signed call, like an internet lead, like an open house, they're more serious than you think. And we could convert those. So go back to those and rekindle those leads and see where they're at.
We said this morning, treat every client as if they're your only client. That's right. Move them all forward.
Yeah.
What is the biggest lesson real estate has taught you about life or in business?
I took away from it is that everyone is great. Everyone has a passion, and we call it a genius. Everyone has a genius, and as a result, you're a great person, and you should celebrate it. And we don't celebrate ourselves enough, I believe, right? And so you're good at something, and you need to celebrate it, and don't be afraid to.
Very good. Yeah, we're not great at celebrating our own successes, are we?
No, in real estate especially, it's like we always think we're one step away from the poorhouse, right? We do a deal, and it's like, I got to do another deal, otherwise I may not ever do a deal ever again, right?
We never get a chance to celebrate our successes. You know why? Because we'll sell a house and then the next day we wake up and we're panicked. We don't have any more leads left.
Yeah.
Right? Our lead's gone and now we have to go find more.
Right.
Right? Not that easy. Listeners can find you at rri.com.
Correct.
Right? We'll put that in the show notes.
Thank you.
Okay. So we're going to start rapid fire.
Okay.
And I've added this one and you don't know this is happening. Chemistry or real estate?
What, am I supposed to pick one of them?
Yes. Were you a chemistry teacher?
I was a chemistry teacher.
They don't know that about you. You were a chemistry teacher before your real estate.
I was.
I want to know, what was the best part of your career, real estate or chemistry?
Chemistry.
Yeah, you loved it.
I loved it. I love physics, actually, too. Physics and math and chemistry.
This is no dum-dum right here, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So you went from a chemistry high school teacher to being a real estate coach.
Correct.
You must really love Richard Robbins for you to give up your chemistry career.
I enjoy it so much. Actually, I love helping people.
Right.
And so as a result, this was taking it to the next level. So It was the best thing I ever did.
So people might not know this about you and I, but when we were coaching and I was your very first client, I didn't know that you were teaching full time.
Right.
And you used to say to me, well, you get up early, so let's start early. So we'd start at 5:30 or 6 every morning.
And right after that call, I would then drive an hour to work and go to school and be a teacher. And then I'd come home and at 4 o'clock, I'd have more clients. And I did that for 4 years.
You may not remember this, but when I was stuck and I was really, I just couldn't move forward.
Yeah.
I was crying. I was going to quit. I had 2 young kids and I didn't have any other job. You would call me in the morning at 5:30 and you'd say to me, who's the best realtor in Durham region? And I'd say, I am. And you say, now go to work.
Exactly.
And that's how we started. That's how I started my day for about 3 months.
Right. And you know what? It's so important to start your day off right.
That's my next question. What's the first thing agents should do every morning?
Well, they need to wake up and
hopefully they wake up.
Do the review and reflection, like just sort of chill out, sort of start the day, as opposed to most agents wake up, feet running, do whatever, and they don't have time to reflect why they're doing it, what they're doing. And then they should work out in the morning, exercise, because we always have great intentions of working out in the afternoon, but you get pulled away in all directions. So you want to have what we call a magnificent morning. You want to think of your perfect morning. That'll create a perfect day. You can take on the world.
Well, I was working this weekend. I had friends up at the cottage, and my one friend said to me, I could never be an agent. Look at you. You never stop working. But it doesn't feel like work anymore. At the beginning, when I had young kids, yes, it felt like it was work. I love what I do. It doesn't feel like work.
Oh, that's great.
Biggest misconception agents have about success?
That it's easy. It's not as easy as you think. You have to put in all the great agents. You have to put in time. You have to practice your craft. it's not as easy as you think. Like you always think, well, there'd be so many people I can do deals with and it'll be easy. Yeah, that might be your two friends. But then after that, you have to be really good at your craft.
Right. And we also think before we get into, they drive nice cars and they have nice houses. And, as we've gone through life, we realize how unimportant all that bullshit really is.
Right on. Right
really.
on.
What's important now is family and friends and meeting new people and making new connections. Like that's really what I care about.
Right.
Yeah. Most overrated tactic in real estate.
Social media. I know what happens is they think it's a revenue stream. And if you do social media, you have to commit 100%, like any other revenue stream. Too often, most agents think, I'll do one post and I'll be set.
Yeah. So what you're saying,
business.
What you said earlier is if you're not going to be good at it, don't do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or if you think it's easy, it's probably a little more difficult than you think. So a one and done post won't cut it. Like
Right.
you have to be committed, work it every day.
Right. Well, here I am almost 25 years into real estate and just now starting to use social media in a different way that I never used it before.
Right.
Surrounded by the right people, having the right coach.
And you have to have the right plan. Like you were mentioning
Yeah.
today, you have a plan around social media. So it's a detailed plan. It's
Right.
more than just one post a week or a day or whatever.
Right. And also going on AI coaching and support and figuring out like what do I need to do and what am I good at? Like I've enjoyed doing these podcasts. I've started to enjoy listening to people and having really good conversations with people. And I have great friends. Like, my God, we've been friends for 25 years,
Yeah.
24 years actually.
Yeah.
Right? It's crazy. One thing you wish every agent would stop doing.
I never thought about that one. I think probably an agent should stop blaming somebody else or something else. They're always like, I can't do the business because the market's slow. I can't do the business because of something else. And you know what? A lot of great agents, it's all within my capacity, right? If it's to be, it's up to me.
Right.
And I think there's too much victim blaming.
Right. Well, we might as well ask the other question. What thing you wish every agent would start doing?
I think they just have to have the proper mindset. If you have the proper mindset, you can take on the world, right? So that's the key. And you got to work hard. You're coming to work today to do business.
Right. Well, we have access to so much more mindset information than we did when we started in real estate 25 years ago. We didn't have access to social media, or we had books and we had coaching programs that we went on, but we didn't have all this access to mindset. It should be quite easy for people to find what they need or what they're looking for.
I think also agents need to do better in follow-up. They need to do more lead follow-up, and they need to make it better. That's our biggest challenge in this market is we don't follow up enough, and we don't do a great job at it. And if you did that, you'd do way more business, because the people that are actually a lead or are talking real estate, they're more serious than we think. So
we talked this morning about how, when you go to these coaching events or conferences like we're going to this week, is how you can sometimes feel so like overwhelmed because there's so many people doing more than you're doing.
correct.
I'm a top agent, but there's people there that are doing way more than I'm doing. So it's easy to feel like let down or you should be doing more. But I think just staying focused on what you're doing well when you're going to these
Focus
things.
on what you're doing well, and then create a plan. What is the next step? Is it, 10% growth each year or 20% growth each year, and then follow that plan.
Right.
So if you have a plan, it's less stressful.
Right. And I find when you go to a big event, it's coming home with, just 3 ideas.
Yeah.
Because I could write down 25 ideas, but what are the 3 things that I really want to do, that I'm passionate about, that I think I can do really well? Because I don't want to do anything if I don't think I can do it well. Like I really want to do
Right
well.
on.
Yeah.
Right on. Right on. So you're right. You shouldn't take on more than 1 or 2 new ideas a year, but you want to master them. Because in this business, I always say, if you're 80% efficient, you do 1 deal. If you're 98% efficient, you'll do 10 deals. So if you're not efficient at whatever you take on, or great at it, it won't be as complete as you were hoping it would be.
For sure. Master it. Favorite real estate book or favorite coaching book? Let's just say that.
Yeah. Good to Great was probably one of my favorites is Good to Great. It's a great leadership book, and I refer to that. And the one thing you should know is another great book, and it really talks about the difference between leadership and management, right?
Okay.
And too often team leaders, I coach a lot of teams, so the team leader, are always saying, oh, I'm not that great of a team leader. Well, a lot of it falls into the category of manager, not team leader. A leader is a visionary, and a manager is making sure that everything gets done. So
Right. It's one thing I've learned that I'm a visionary.
Correct.
So I can create the vision. I need somebody else to execute that
Right.
vision. I want A and Z. There's where I want to be.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So that's a leadership.
Yeah.
Visionaries and letting everybody know what you want to do and create. And then somebody else, the manager, will make it happen.
And let them manage it. Let them, I don't want to
Yeah.
get in there and mess it up, because that's
Yeah.
what I would do if I got in there. I would just mess it up. Let them lead, let them figure it out. And, we even have our young girl, Crystal, who you met. She's doing all of our social media for us right now. She is being such a leader in this space. She's like 26 years old and she's killing it.
Wow.
And let her do what she's good at. Right?
Right on.
Yeah. Favorite quote you use with your coaching clients?
My favorite quote? I don't have a favorite quote. I just
You need a Dana quote.
Everyone is different. Everyone is different. So that's the way I approach every call. Is everybody is different, and so that's why I don't have like a standard line. I might say, so tell me about what happened in the last 2 weeks, and what do you think you can accomplish before our next call? But I don't have a favorite quote.
Well, but let's just talk about why you're such a good coach, because that's one thing we have to talk about. When I filled out my paperwork about what kind of coach I wanted, I thought about when I was a kid, who got the best out of me, what kind of person. And that's the person that I asked for to be my coach, and I got you.
Oh, okay.
And you are so good at getting the best out of people. I would not have stayed in real estate if it wasn't for you and my broker at the time. I would not have stayed in real estate. There's just no way. It wouldn't have happened.
Oh, thank you.
So you got the best out of me. And so in turn, I try to give back to other people. And the reason we did this podcast today is there's somebody out there listening that needs a Dana or needs support in their real estate career. And let's give them what they need.
Exactly. One thing we want to do is make sure that you don't want to, go from 0 to 100 in a day. Just little incremental steps will get you there. And so, that's really the process we need to take.
Right. One thing I didn't ask you is, what is your big why? Why do you do what you do?
Well, I have my why is called We Grow. On every call, every podcast, whatever it is that I do, I grow. I learn something about myself. I learn something about the environment. I learn something about other people. And it's we grow, and I hope I can help other people. So as long as I think I'm helping other people, and I always get something out of every single coaching call I've done. I've done over 20,000 coaching calls.
Because he counts everything.
And I get something out of every call. I get something out of, no matter where they're at in their business or life, I get something out of it because it reminds me of what I can do to help be better. Right.
When you were growing up, did you have a favorite coach? Somebody that really got the best out of you?
You know what? I had a couple of teachers that really helped me out that I was grateful for. I think they may have carved my life, which was great. But I'll be honest, a lot of people truly changed my life in business, one of them being you. There was an agent in Vancouver that was all about giving, which totally changed my life. They say you have 15 memorable moments in your life that are life-changing, and you remember them. Like you can think about them and you know what they are. And so because of that, I there's certain points in my life that made an impact. And so because of that, I think it made me who I was.
Well, think of it this way. I was 33 when I started in real estate.
Yeah.
And I had 2 kids. And I would not be where I am today without your support and your guidance, because you took me under your wing and you held me accountable and you called me on my shit and you wouldn't let me victim blame. So I wasn't surprised when you said
right.
that today. And you are the reason that my daughter's in med school. And you are the reason that my younger daughter is going to one day take over my business, because you held me the whole way. And I always felt like you had my back. You took care of me. And to have a coach that admires you and respects you and loves you like they're your family member is a gift. And you have a gift, and keep giving it to the world.
Oh, thank you, Tracy. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, we both got teary-eyed there. Anyway, thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Okay. Dana, thank you for showing us that success isn't about doing more. It's about doing what matters. If today's episode gave you a boost of clarity or confidence, make sure to check out Dana's coaching programs with RRI. We'll link everything in the show notes. Until next time, get clear, stay focused, and build your business on your terms. Bye-bye.